Welcome everyone to our Productivity Now overview and demo. So on the agenda today, we will give you an overview of what the platform is, what Productivity Now is, and then we'll go into a demonstration of that platform, followed by some customer success that we've seen, and then we'll go right into questions. So we've got two presenters for you today. So we've got Paul Burton, who is our Director of eLearning Solutions and Digital Content. He'll be doing most of the demo today. And then we've got Karen Bing, our Senior PLM Education Specialist. So we're going to start things off with Karen. She'll do the overview. So Karen, the floor is yours.
Lovely. Thank you, Corinne. So I know there are some folks here on the webcast that are certainly familiar with us, but just for those who might not be, I wanted to just do a really quick overview of who RAND Worldwide is. So we really are a collection of companies who help in the engineering and manufacturing space here with organizations who are using a number of different CAD platforms. So the RAND 3D team, which we are of course a part of here, we really specialize in helping people who already have the Dassault and PTC tools to use those tools as effectively as possible through a number of different training and support programs. We do have a division called Imagine It Technologies, who is an Autodesk reseller. They are an Autodesk Platinum VAR and help people and organizations get the right mix of software, and again, also help support the usage of that software and having people work with it productively. And our Ascent team, who Paul Burton is a part of, our Ascent team really kind of binds us together and helps create really high quality courseware and for all of these different products, so Autodesk, CATIA and Creo, and we also do have some SolidWorks as well, and they help create that content that we can then have in our classes and then also be able to use in a really customized format as well. And then lastly, we do have a RAND simulation team that specializes in high-end simulation, helping organizations that either don't have that expertise in-house or don't have the capacity and need somebody to help out at different times. So the Productivity Now platform that you are going to be seeing today is our self-paced e-learning platform. And it really has been helping companies to put together learning programs for their teams and be able to also put in some of their own custom content that's unique to their organizations and leverage the Ascent developed content that we have in there as well. So Paul Burton is going to be taking you on a tour of the site. And then we'll be talking about some of the ways that organizations really use that site afterwards. So Paul, take it away.
Great, thanks Karen. And if you just want to make me presenter there, I'll share out my screen.
Yep, let me up there.
All right, and Karen, just let me know when you can see that.
I can.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. And as Karen said, my name is Paul Burton. So I work with all of the divisions that Karen talked about on our introductory slide there. My group is responsible for developing learning content for Creo, as well as many of the other softwares that our company works with and our customers work with. So I'm going to take you through a quick tour of the site, talking about some of the learning content that's available in here for Creo. As Karen or Corinne maybe mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions as I'm going through, please don't hesitate to drop them in the question panel there, or as Corinne said, she can unmute you as well if you want to speak with us as we're going along here. Okay, so I'm sharing my desktop here, and I've got the Productivity Now homepage opened up. So you can see I've got a profile area up here on the top right-hand corner that identifies me. So we set each user up with their own unique login to the site so they can track their own activity through the learning content, enroll in their own courses and so forth. In this main area here, you can see under my courses, I'm currently enrolled in a learning path right now. So we've started to add some of our Creo Parametric 8.0 content into the site. As well, we go back to previous versions, Creo 7, 6, and so forth. So I'll show you that in just a moment. Over here on the left-hand side, these are the libraries that I might have access to. So you can see, obviously, our Creo library here. As Karen mentioned, we also develop content for other products like CATIA, some Autodesk tools like AutoCAD and Inventor. And there's other libraries that you can add on to your subscription as well. SolidWorks is one that she mentioned, but even non-CAD content is available in here. So we have libraries for Microsoft content, for Adobe content, health and safety, business skills. So there's a wide variety of libraries that are available to add on to your Creo subscription, for example. So as a user, I'm going to come in here and expand this Creo library. So we have content in here for Creo Parametric as well as Creo Simulate. You'll also see Windchill PDM link listed here. So that's another library that would be part of the Creo subscription. I'm going to click on this link for Creo Parametric, and it's going to bring up the libraries of content that I have for that software. Across the top here, you'll see the versions again that we produce content for. So we go right back, way back to Creo 2. Most of our customers today are on Creo 7. Some are starting to go to Creo 8. And as I mentioned, we're starting to publish our content for that. So one of the first ones that we're producing here is the update training for people moving to Creo 8, and we'll be adding in others here in the next little while. So I'm going to focus on Creo 7 since that's where most of our customers are today. And in this library, we're going to talk about the different types of content that are available in here. So if I just start at the bottom here, you'll see we've got a video library that's got over 800 different videos available in here. So what we do in working with the RAN 3D team here at our company is we'll work with the instructors, the folks that deliver the training classes that we offer for Creo, and we have them go through and we have them record the demonstrations and the explanations that they would typically present in a live training class. So somebody who's using our Productivity Now for self-paced training obviously doesn't have the benefit of an instructor to present these things to them. So what we do instead is we try and capture that with our instructors, many of who have been teaching this content for 10, 15 years. So they got a lot of experience. So it's great to be able to capture some of those. So a user can come in here and you'll see some of the videos have the word explain appended at the beginning. If I scroll down here, you'll see others have show. So that's basically explanation is kind of the presentation that they would do to introduce some of these topics, whereas show is the demonstration that they might do. So if I select on this one here, I'll just grab one at random here on this one's assembly relations. So they would go through in this video. I've got the sound turned down, so you're not going to hear them speaking, but in fact, I can hear them, so I'm just going to turn the volume down. There we go. So I've got one of our instructors is speaking, and they'll go through a demonstration here in the software to talk about and demonstrate some of the aspects of this particular topic on assembly relations. So as they're going through the demonstration, I can view that. I can also see any related videos on topics that are similar to the one that I've chosen here, so I can see or access other videos on the same topic. So the intent here with these videos obviously is we're trying to cater to different learning styles. So this is obviously somebody, more visual learner likes to see the operation being demonstrated, can really take advantage of that long list of videos that we had in that library. So if I go back out here to my library, I'll expand now the next one, which is the documents node that was in this list. And the documents part of the library is really a list of topics that we take from our written training material. So this is going to be documented steps and how-to type of information related to different topics. So I'll select this one here at random, sketching splines. So this is again a documented process or how-to on sketching splines in the sketcher mode for Creo Parametric. So again, different learning styles. Some people prefer to see it in action. Others prefer to review the written content here. And in these written explanations, obviously lots of images will show you the dialog boxes and panels that are going to come up as you're performing some of these operations. So it gets into a lot of details. So again, for somebody who learns better that way, these are great types of resources. And similarly, over here on the right-hand side, you'll see the related documents to this topic as well. So I can very quickly find what I'm looking for here. If I type in a term, so I've got the term family typed in here in this the filtering bar at the top, I can narrow down the items that are listed. So you can see if I type in families, there's a couple of different documents that show up, some videos that will show up. So it enables me to find, and it's just filtering based on the name of the document or video. So if I clear that, it'll take me back to the full list. Okay, now I've also got the learning paths expanded here at the top, and learning paths are the structured courses. So basically what we do is we take all those videos and the documents that I showed you in the list down below, and we combine those into structured courses. So what we typically do here is we organize these. You can see a kind of a course code number at the beginning. So they're kind of organized based upon the equivalent classes that we might deliver as an instructor-led class. So you'll see here these that begin with the UPDT, which is for our update topics. So we've got 3 learning paths here specifically on the update enhancements, in this case for Creo 7. Then you'll see, I think we got about 12 learning paths here that are kind of fundamentals or intro levels. So those would be all listed. So again, I can browse through here, and based on what it is I'm looking for, if I'm a new user, I'm typically going to start out with those intro learning paths. If I'm doing something specific, so maybe I need a refresher on creating rounds, then I can narrow down the search again. So I've filtered it down. So here's one from our advanced part design learning paths on rounds. Maybe that's the one I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And when I come in here, there's a few things I can drill into. So here's an overview of the course or the learning path. And then the different modules that are included in this learning path are shown down below. And again, I can expand any of these to get a little bit more detail. And here's the actual content of the course. And then you'll see these enroll buttons over on the right-hand side for each of the modules in this learning path. So I can choose any of the individual modules to enroll in, or I can choose up here in the top right-hand corner this enroll in all button to enroll in the entire learning path, which is what I'm going to do. So we'll click on that, and then I'll see the go to course button appear next to each of the modules. So I'll click on the first one since I want to start out right at the beginning here, and then it takes me into the learning environment. So now I'm enrolled in this learning path, and I can start going through the content here. So the content, you'll see a map over here on the left-hand side for the course, and I can jump around from any of the items that are included in this particular course. This one I call Designing with Rounds. And the way we typically structure it is, again, we're using a combination of those documents and videos. So what we will typically do is start out with some of the text-based information to explain and introduce the topic, and provide the examples and the explanations. So again, we're combining all of those different assets that we had. Then we'll have some videos here. So again, the instructor videos. So just like if I was in a classroom-based training, the instructor is typically going to give me a presentation on the topic. So that's what we're doing here in this first video with the explain type of video. And then if I move along to the next one here, then we'll go into a demonstration. So there's lots of different types of resources here. Again, depending on how you learn best, the different types of documents and videos that we have in here will enable you to really get a good foundation in whatever it is the topic that we're presenting. Further along in the course, you'll see, if I just come down here to the bottom, you'll see these practice items. So here's where, after we've presented the topics to you for this particular course, we'll give you a chance then to try it out with a practice exercise. So in these, we'll give you a kind of a guided set of tasks and steps that you would work through in your local version of Creo Parametric. There may be some Creo files that are required to do this practice, so we'll provide a link at the big top of the practice. And then as I scroll down, you'll see the tasks and the steps that we're going to have you work through. So in this case here, we're having you open up this model, and we're going to have you create some of the round features that you see here, maybe do a mirroring and so forth. So we'll walk you through those tasks and steps, and allow you to try these out for yourself. So again, we're trying to really give you a comprehensive course here where you're able to review the content, we're able to see it being done through the videos, and then give you a chance to try it out for yourself in these practices. Okay, and then the last thing I'll point out here in this course is the review questions. So after you've gone through a module, we give you a chance then to just test your knowledge on the key topics that we presented in this course. So these will be presented as a multiple choice style questions, and I can just select the answers here and then have the results returned to me right away. So as I go through here, you can see up at the top, it's giving me kind of a running tally of the number of correct answers that I have. You can see I'm not doing particularly well here. I've gotten one so far. And then once I'm done here, I can use the results of these to go back and fill in the gaps. So if there's, you can see here, I got 1 out of 7. So obviously I need to revisit some of the topics here to make sure I've got all of the key concepts. So I'm gonna give you chances to, or multiple chances to do those assessments. And in fact, any of the content that we have in here, you're able to go back and review at any time. You can see any of the content that I have viewed, there's a little green check mark shown next to the names of each of those. So the system is keeping track of where I am in the courses. So if I log out today and come back in tomorrow, it'll take me back to wherever I've left off in this course, and track all of the number of times that I've viewed things. So I'm able, if I'm a manager, if I want to keep track of how much time people are spending in the system, all of that information is stored on our site. So you'll be able to run reports to show all of the user activity. Again, if there's any questions from anybody, Karina, I don't know if any are coming in there, but if you want to point those out as we're going along, feel free to do that as well.
Okay, yes, I don't have any specific to what you're doing right now. There is a good question that's come in. We can wait till the end if you want to keep going with your demo.
Okay. Yep, sounds good. Okay. So just back out on the home page here, you can see now the learning path that I enrolled in is now showing up in the My Courses area next to the one that I was enrolled in previously. So again, everything I'm doing in the system is tracked here. You're not automatically enrolled in these courses as a new user coming into the system. When the first time you come in, this area may be blank. So as you enroll in the courses from the libraries over here on the left-hand side, that'll populate. We do have administrative tools that are available in here. So as a manager, I mentioned the reporting. Another area that a manager may want to use is the ability to assign courses, pre-assign courses. So you may have a new user coming into the system. So before they even log into the system, we have a means for you to be able to set up those assignments so that the first time a user logs in, those courses will be populated here in the My Courses area. Some of the other things I wanted to point out here on the home page that will be of interest to some of you for sure. We have a means to organize users into different roles. So we give you an administrative area in the system here where you can define different roles. So it could be based on a job description. It could be even based on a location, however you want to organize those. And then you can associate different courses or learning paths with that role. So I've got some here in my role-based learning area. So if I click on this See More topic area here, you can see the role that I currently have. So I'm set up as an intern in the as a job role. I may have more than one role. So I could be a manufacturing engineer, and I could also have a role related to my location or a project that I'm working on, however you want to organize that. And then down below here, any courses or learning paths that my administrator has associated with the intern role that I have, those are going to be listed down below. So I can see here there are 3 learning paths that have been associated with my role. So if I click on any one of these, I'll click this first one, it'll take me kind of through the same process as if I had selected from the library, and then I can go ahead and enroll in this learning path if again that's part of my development path and it's been set up with my manager perhaps. So again, that's an area that you may want to take advantage of. Some other things here, you'll see a panel over on the left-hand side here called Live Events. So again, there is an administrative area that enables you to set up things like live events like a training class or a webinar that you can then have show up in panel like this. So I've got one here called Lunch and Learn for Family Tables as an example. So maybe that's happening later today around 12 o'clock. And you can see I've got a description here, and then I can go ahead and register for that. So on the back end, then through our administrative tool, as whoever is administering that event will have a list of all of the individuals that are going to be attending that, and they can provide a link to, maybe it's you're using GoToMeeting or something like that to deliver that. So that link can be provided to any of the registrants that are going to attend that event. So once I've registered here, then I can see it turns green to indicate to me that this is one of the events now that I'm signed up for. A couple other things you'll see on the homepage here. For our enterprise customers, you'll see an area here called My Workgroups, and this is a way for you to organize users. Again, it could be by location, it could be by project, could be by job role. However you want to do it, but basically it sets up an area here where you can pull together content related to some topic and provide a kind of a custom list of assets. So it could be courses, it could be just individual documents or individual videos that you want to put together as kind of a reading list that anybody who's a member of this work group would then have access to. And there's a few other functions here that you can set up discussion areas. You can manage your users or members of this particular work group. So these are all features that you might want to take advantage of. We've seen some customers, for example, that maybe they're going to be delivering a class, an update training class internally. So after the fact, people who are members who attended that class may be added to a work group, and other related topics related to their update to Creo 8, for example, might be accumulated here in this work group for them to be able to access as part of the follow-up to the training class that they attended. A couple other things here, you'll see there's an my assets list. So this is kind of like a favorites list. So any video or document or course that you view in the system, if it's something that you want to return to, there is a tool, area there where you can click on a share icon. You see this little icon here. It's kind of a universal sharing icon that you'll see on websites. So here I can share this to my assets list and or share it to any work group that I'm a member of and I have editing feature or capabilities. So I can share that with my work group, or again, share it to my own assets list or favorites list so that I can come back and visit that anytime in the future very quickly just by selecting it from this list. You'll see my frequently used assets, so things that I'm looking at on a regular basis are going to be shown here. Trending assets, these are items that myself and others in my group, so within our company, these are the kind of the most frequently used assets, so I can see what other people might be viewing and jump in on those. And then finally, there's a panel here called Related Learning, which is other learning paths that are related to some of the courses that I've already enrolled in. So that you can see some of the user interface enhancements. So these are update related topics that are related to the update course that I've enrolled myself in up here. Now, everything I've shown you so far is content that we put into the system. So we populate all of the libraries. So our team that develops the learning content, and our instructors that record the videos, all of that content comes into the system here as well. But we also give you the ability to put your own content into the system or customize the courses and learning paths that we have in here. So again, some of our larger clients that are maybe putting together their own training programs are really taking advantage of this by uploading some of their own content into the system. And when they do that, it's only available and visible to the users that are in their groups. So other customers cannot see or access any of the content that they put in here. And then they may have then a number of libraries. So you can see I've kind of customized the site here a little bit for me. I've got a logo here for my company. So I've got just a company called Stewart and Associates that maybe I'm a member of. So I've uploaded our logo here. So it's again made to look a little bit, that makes the site look a little bit more familiar. And then I've got a library here that I've called Creo for Stewart and Associates, but this could be anything. You can create any number of libraries in the system. If I expand that, then I've got a couple of areas that are here that I've set up. So Creo for novice users and intermediate users is just an example that I put together. This could be onboarding, a library for onboarding new users, or it could be a library for HR policies. It doesn't even have to be related to your use of Creo or any of the other applications. So when I click on that, it'll look very much like the standard out-of-the-box libraries down below. Any content that that we've uploaded or customized will show up in here. Similarly, if I select the other one, there may be other types of content in here. So you can see there's a learning path here that I've created, S&A Creo parametrics. So this is possibly one of the out-of-the-box learning paths. And what we do is we give you the ability to take a copy of that in your tenant of Productivity Now, and then you can customize it. So maybe there's topics that we cover that you don't want your users to see because it's not relevant, so you can add and remove topics, or maybe you want to replace some of the videos that we've created, then you can certainly do that. All right, and you can upload your own individual documents. Documents can be any format that you can deliver through a web browser. So this whole system is based on Microsoft, or built on Microsoft's Azure platform. So there's built-in viewers for PowerPoint files or Word documents, Excel files. So all of those types of documents can be uploaded into the system. So I've just got an example here of a PowerPoint that I've uploaded on reference geometry for my company, Stewart and Associates. So again, this is something that's set up in my tenant as a member of Stewart and Associates. Only Stewart and Associate users can see that content or have access to it. So again, it's a way for you to build up a resource library of other content, maybe related to your use of Creo. It could be your design standards or things like that. If you want to kind of keep all of your learning content related to Creo in one place, then this portal gives you that ability to manage that content here inside the system and make it available to your users, so they kind of have that one-stop shopping type of system where they go for all of their resource material related to Creo, or again any other things that you want to put in here. So I mentioned HR policies. That's one we see often with larger companies who are using the system, again, just to have, because they know their Creo and engineering staff are going into Productivity Now for the Creo learning content. So it gives them an area where they can put other learning content that may be relevant to other aspects of their business. So onboarding plans and things of that nature is a common thing that we see companies using that for. All right, Karen, is there anything else here that you wanted me to touch on for the group? And again, Karine will invite folks if they have any questions, or if there's anything in particular they were hoping to see that we can touch on as well. Again, just in the question panel or the chat area there, if you want to put that in, we'll make sure we cover it for you.
So I think you covered it well, certainly from my perspective. And absolutely, if there are any questions that people have right now, then we can always go over those at this point and start there.
So we do have one. Maybe you can help with this, Karen. Mark was asking, does the RAN 3D team also offer any real-time, immediate on-call, single need Creo help or guidance?
So if I understand that question correctly, it would be something like either, being able to phone in with questions or be able to do like a chat type function. So we do not have that.
Or single need, so just in the moment.
Right. So we do not have that today. I don't think we have at this point any plans to. We still do run our classes in, public format, so people can attend classes, whether they're in person or online. And so that's usually where you see people, that format is usually chosen because it is immersive and there is the ability to work with an instructor and be able to have those questions answered. So that really is our format today, to be able to do that. Again, public sessions or dedicated sessions. Hopefully that will answer that question. Are there any
Okay,
others
thanks.
there, Karine?
No, that was the only question here so far.
Okay. So if that's the only question so far, then we really had wanted to share with you. You've seen the you've seen the Productivity Now site itself, and there are a lot of different options within the Productivity Now portal that can be used. So we want to share just a few ideas about some of the implementations that we have seen, and really how organizations had set them up. And perhaps some of these will be able to resonate, for you and for your team as well. So what we find usually is there's these three sort of categories where people really are having, either a high usage, or there's three different kinds of events where the Productivity Now site can really be able to be of a lot of value to organizations. So the first sort of category is definitely that onboarding. When you've got people coming into the organization, we often see that this is the highest usage for the site. People coming in with either no experience in CAD at all. A lot of times these days there is experience, with different CAD platforms. And so what they're looking for is to be able to take the skill sets that they have and then be able to use the Productivity Now site to be able to understand, okay, so how I worked in SolidWorks before, how do I do this within Creo, and then what are the best design practices so I can set up my models and set everything up so it will be easy to use, so easier to complete and then easy to reuse afterwards as well. So in this sort of category, we often see really role-based pathways, and we have seen some incredible role-based pathways for organizations that have, different departments and the needs of those different departments that are built into that particular role. We've seen up to, I think, 8 or 10 different roles that people have that are listed out, so that when you come into the organization or when you are joining into that role, you really are focused on the content that is going to be relevant to that particular person. The other thing that we have seen a lot of as well is that building of a custom library. So taking what we already have within the Productivity Now site and using the Ascent courseware and really being able to keep the parts of it that you like and be able to remove maybe what's not relevant. If there's 3 different ways to go about doing something, oftentimes there's one that's preferred, so that you can remove any of the content that isn't relevant and be able to put in best practices and put in unique custom content into the site. And that really does have a big impact for those who are going through the portal as well, because it is something that, our content can help on how to use the tool, but then they really also do get to understand what the processes are and what is unique to their own organization. So there is a lot of value in that, and there is a lot of interest as well that's generated when it is sort of a mix of both of ours, and it's kind of the best of both worlds. The other part to that onboarding is that there is a lot of reporting functionality within the site as well. And we definitely encourage people to be able to have not necessarily just the users themselves, but also be able to have maybe like a manager level. We've seen a mentor level, especially in some of the role-based organizations that really have those, extensive roles built out. And they are assigned a mentor to be able to help them through that process. And a manager role as well is really helpful in that, because it will allow the managers to have some visibility into what their people are doing, into the content that they have gone through. And also, sometimes with these web-based platforms, there's great intentions to be able to go through the content, but then life happens and work happens and things kind of get in the way. So when you have that mentor or when you have that manager role in there as well, then they can really see what people have done and help remove some of the obstacles that are sometimes in the way. Usually it's a time obstacle where they just don't feel they have the time. Some of us, like myself, need some level of accountability and need someone to say, this is important, we need you to do it, and I'd like to see this done by this particular date. So you can set deadlines for people. for administrators. So if you're administrating the system, maybe, you know, you put in all of the content for these particular people that are in those roles, but then you can assign the due date and any notifications to go to their manager so that they can kind of keep them on track, and they've got the visibility to be able to see what their people are doing. So the second area is sort of this project area. And so oftentimes when there are maybe new projects that are starting, new programs that are starting, then that's where some of those work groups can be really helpful as well. So you can group people into the projects. It can be in a role, and they can also be within a work group, so that there's information that is shared out to that work group as well. So it could be that something that is project specific, it could be a particular processes that people need to know within that project, or there might be some people that are, you know, they're getting into new areas of the software that they haven't traditionally worked in before. And so maybe there's content that they need to get up to speed with so that they are ready and they're prepared for the work that they're going to be doing. And the last role really is this kind of ongoing development. And for a lot of organizations, it kind of coincides with some of the HR policies they have as well, where they need to do a certain number of training hours. So that's this site is something that they can use to be able to support some of those initiatives. Again, if people are looking at the different roles, maybe they're going to be going from a designer 1 role to a designer 2 role. And so what are the skills that they're going to need to be able to make that transition from one role into the next? And then that's something that can be pulled together as well, so that as they go along and as they move along their different pathways, those roles are well defined, and the content that they need also is well defined, and they can keep making those transitions. Then, of course, in the software, there's always going to be updates. So the latest large one was certainly to Creo 7, most people coming from Creo 4 to 7. So those types of updates, again, we can pull together content out of what we have. Maybe it needs to be modified a little bit, depending on what organizations are using, what things are maybe specific to them, and are going to be big changes to them and their processes. So being able to pull that together and be able to assign it to people. And then also a really key one is that company specific content. So if there's anything that you do internally, it is wonderful to be able to have that recorded and then be able to be uploaded into the site. So oftentimes we see meetings on, again, Teams GoToMeeting. If you're able to record that, then all of that can be captured and be put into the site. So that if somebody maybe wasn't at the company at the time, it wasn't important to them at the time, and then 6 months later, they kind of remember that there was something about that they'd seen in emails, but they ignored it because it wasn't important to them at the time, but now it is. And so it's really being able to get people that right information to the right person at the right time. And this is where the Productivity Now site can really kind of tile these different initiatives in together and be able to support people all along the process, from when they're onboarded, in their project work, and then also throughout the organization. So to be able to help with this, for organizations who have 50 or more people on the site, we can help execute some of these plans. And we do have a customer success advisor role that will be able to help with that. So when you have a customer success advisor, we really take a look at what are some of the business goals that you have. And some of the things we had just talked about on that slide before, those can be some of the business goals, so new projects, new updates that are coming. So we can really take a look at what's going on within your organization and then be able to come up with a plan as to, okay, what do we want to do with this? And we can maybe take a look at some of the content that we want to pull together, and some of the different ways that we can kind of help support the people that are going through those new initiatives or new areas of the software. So then once we pull that together, we can find different ways to generate some awareness of the content that has been pulled together. So whether that's through the Productivity Now site itself, so there are some ways that the Productivity Now site can send out notifications about new content that is assigned to people. And there are also some other ideas that we can work with you on to say, okay, we've got these new initiatives on the go. How do we communicate that out to people? What can you maybe do internally? What can we do with the Productivity Now platform? And again, come up with that sort of plan. So then once we've kind of distributed that out to everybody, then there are ways to be able to track the progress within the site to see who's doing what, who's really kind of embraced some of these plans. Do we need to do something? Do we need to adjust? Do we need to adjust content? Do we need to find another way to communicate this out? And there are a lot of ideas that we can share with you about what other organizations have done that might be kind of helpful for you as well. And then what we really want to be able to see is the increase of the usage of it. We don't just want to kind of give you logins and, you know, do what you want with it. We really want to be able to help you generate some ideas, put some plans in place, and be able to help execute it.